Hello, welcome back to my haunted library. It's Regina. I'm here today with a tag video, and this is I was tagged, first off, by the lovely Marie McWilliams. If you don't know her channel, I'm sure you do. I will also link below. And she did this a couple weeks ago, and I'm finally getting around to it, and that is the horror of 2020 book tag. Now, it's slightly ironic because it seems like the horror has moved on to 2021. You know, when I was a kid, one of my favorite ways to seek sanctuary from chaos was the library. You know, it was quiet. I responded well to the quiet after, being in a very chaotic household sometimes. So when I wasn't out taking a nature walk, I was in the library and I felt safe there and I could escape and I could go off into another world. So I just want my subscribers or anyone who checks out my channel to know that you can always come here to de-stress and to uh, discuss horror books or horror films or other pulp fiction and laugh at Matilda's antics or have Lily cheer you up with a daily Lily or whatever it is. I hope you know that you're always welcome here. And I appreciate every one of you. And as a public service announcement, I'm going to list below some of my favorite channels that I like to go to de-stress when I need to escape from all the insanity. So I will list those people below. All right, so on to the book tag. This is an original tag by Marie, and I will, of course, leave her original tag video below along with the list of questions. And if you would like to do the tag, please feel free. I'm not going to tag anyone because I'm a little late to the party, but let's go. Without further ado. Okay, number one, pandemic. Talk about a book involving a disease or an outbreak of some kind. Well, naturally I thought of The Stand, but I'm going to go back several decades and do The Andromeda Strain by Michael Crichton. That may have been his first book. I'm not sure. That came out a really long time ago. I'm going to write the date here because I'm guessing like 1970, maybe a little later. I know I saw that movie in the movie theater when I was really little, and it scared me in the best possible way. And the book is really great too. So I'm going with The Andromeda Strain, which is about a disease that basically wipes out most of the planet. Number two, politics. Tell me about your favorite dystopian novel. Well, I'm going to have to go with 1984 by George Orwell. This is not a genre that I am attracted to because I find it's too close to reality, especially these days. But 1984 really stuck with me. I'm sure I read it as a high school student, and then I read it years later. There was a movie that came out in the 80s that was very good, and that movie, the whole story, the movie scared me, the book scares me, and if you have not read that book or you have not been required through like your education system to read it, I do highly recommend reading it. It is very triggering, and if you're scared of rats, you may really be triggered. So it's a classic for a reason. Number three, hate. Tell us about a book that you hated. Hate is a very strong word, and I don't know if I think if I dislike a book, I probably stop reading it. But there was one book that kind of elicited a very strong reaction that, for me, when I read it, that could kind of be described as hate. And that was American Psycho by Easton Ellis. Now, before I say that, I qualify that I have since revisited that book and have a different take on it. But when it came out in the 90s, and I remember there was a big scandal. Of course, now these scandals, these like literary scandals, of people being like canceled for their books or whatever, that happens like on a weekly basis on Twitter. But back then it was big news. And I remember there was this walkout of the mostly women who were doing the typesetting, which is I think what it was called at the time, or word processing of the manuscript, who said this is repulsive. I remember I was in graduate school at the time, and this was like a topic of conversation that came around our classroom and things like that, like should books be censored? Of course, we're still having this debate now. My opinion is no, they should not be. But I did read it, and I remember I was down the shore, and I was so like infuriated by this book because I just found it was so just repugnant that I threw it into the ocean. So when the movie came out, which I did really like the movie. Well, I don't know if liked it, but I appreciated the movie. I thought it was very well done. And that put a different spin on it. It really played up the fantasy element of the story and the satirical element of the story, where I did not read the book that way. I read it like straight. And I'm not sure of Ellis's intent with that book. So the next question is, tell me about a book about an outright apocalypse. So I'm going to choose a book that I just read in 2020 that was one of my best books of the year, and that is I Am Legend by Richard Matheson. I thought that was a great book, and it is definitely a book I will go back to and read again and again, because it's so well written, such a great story, so compelling. I couldn't put it down. Now, I have not seen the movie. I heard the movie's not that good, or maybe changed the ending. So number 5, tell me about your favorite true crime books, and that probably has to be, well, I love Anne Rule. You know, that she's the one who got me started reading true crime back in like the 80s, and probably one of the first books of hers that I read. I mean, I read the Bundy one, but the one that I read that really stuck with me and that haunted me and that I reread a few years ago, and it still disturbed me greatly, was Small Sacrifices, which was about an Oregon woman named Diane Downs who killed, she denies it, but she has been convicted of murdering, well, she shot her 3 children basically, and one of them died, one of them, or 2 of them were seriously injured. One, the little boy, I think, was paralyzed for life. I mean, it was like it's a horrible story. Anne Rule takes that horrible story and gives it life, like as despicable as a person, and really like a psychopath, you know, as Diane Downs comes off. It's the perfect book about, you know, in fiction, people are always saying this, you know, show, don't tell, show, don't tell. Anne Rule gets that right every time. She really shows you a portrait of a real person, and I felt like every book that I've read of hers, I really feel like I'm in the story. So she did a great job with that book. And there's also an amazing TV movie with Farrah Fawcett playing Diane Downs, and her acting. If you only know Farrah Fawcett from like Charlie's Angels, and if you've never seen her other work that was like her TV work, like The Burning Bed or Small Sacrifices, I mean, she is an incredible actress. She was an incredible actress, and I think that she never really was recognized for that. But man, that's a great show. Now we have Hope, which is what we all need. Tell me about a book you hope is going to be good. So I just got this in the mail, and this is called Burner by Robert Ford, who I guess he's an indie author. I know him from some of his other novels that I've read, and I really like his style, so I think the cover's very cool too. So that is the horror of 2020 book tag. Wow, this is just, the whole year has been quite a ride, and now moving into this new year, it's yeah, it just makes me want to curl up with a good book. So that's really all I have for today. Thanks for stopping by my haunted library, and I'll see you soon. Bye.